Whenever I'm craving that like hug in a book kind of feeling, I always think of middle grade books. There's nothing like a middle grade read that makes you feel as cozy and as whimsical, and it just makes your inner child so happy. And so for me, they've always been an integral part of my reading experience. Every year I always have a couple that I throw in there because there's just nothing like it that hits the spot. And recently, because there have been so many good fantasy and romance releases, I've just been caught up in that, and I haven't had a chance to read as many middle grade books as I would like. So I figured, you know what, next month is March, it's Middle Grade March, let's get caught up on some of my middle grade book series that I'm in the middle of, as well as maybe getting a couple of new books. There are always so many great ones out. So in this video, we're going to do some prepping to get ourselves all ready for Middle Grade March. I'm going to be getting some books off of my shelves. I am in the middle of quite a few middle grade series that I kind of want to get caught up in. And then I also want to pop to the bookstore, my favorite local bookstore here that has the most amazing middle grade section, and I want to see if there are any new titles that kind of stand out at me. So let's go do both of those things and get ourselves all prepared for Middle Grade March. have shopped at both the bookstore and my shelves here behind me, and I have quite the stack now for my to be read pile for next month. And there are a ton of books here, and I probably won't get to all of them, but because I'm such a mood reader, I like to always give myself a ton of options, so I can't, you know, give myself any excuses not to read them, because there's something here for every single mood. And the first 3 books here are the ones that I got from the bookstore, and then the rest of them are ones that I am in the middle of, like a series, or new books that I haven't gone to yet that have been living on my shelves for a while, and it is probably finally time that I get to them. So let me tell you a little bit about each book. The first book I have here is called Mixed Up by Gordon Corman. This story is about Reith and Theo and something really strange happening to both of them. They will be doing something completely normal, and then out of nowhere they will get flashes to someone else's memory. And this is happening to the both of them, but they don't know each other. They live in completely different parts of town, but it seems like they might be each other's clue to figure out what is going on and why they're having these weird flashbacks to somebody else's memories and why their own memories are vanishing. So that sounds really, really unique and very interesting. And I've never read a Gordon Corman book, but I know he's like highly reviewed and everyone has wonderful things to say about him. So I'm really excited about this one. The other 2 books I got at the bookstore were actually graphic novels, and last year I read this graphic novel set of books called the Berrybrook Middle School books, and those graphic novels completely changed the way that I look at middle grade graphic novels, because they were so sweet and remarkable and just had such an empathetic look at middle grade life. They talked about everything from crushes to teachers to pressure about homework and changing friendships and changing bodies and all the things that your parents go through. Just a really, really great insight into middle grade life, and so it had me craving some more of those types of graphic novels. So I picked up these 2. The first one is The Love Report, and then the second one is the Emmy and Friends series. This is actually 2 books in one. I just got them bound together. And these both are to do with contemporary middle grade life. And I just feel like even if you're not in middle grade anymore, they're just so fun to read about. It's like, you know, those movies that are out right now, like The Walter Boys and I, or The Summer I Turned Pretty, like no matter how old you get, they're still fun to watch. And so I feel the same way about reading contemporary middle grade. It's really fun to read about, even though they're not relatable anymore to this particular part of my life. I really enjoy reading about some of the awkwardness that happens and how you overcome and how you have changing and friendships, because it's such a pivotal part of your life. And one day my son will go through those things, and I just want to be as prepared as I can to talk about some of those things, or to give him content to read that would help him kind of navigate that. I know I would have loved this type of content when I was in middle grade. I don't think we had anything remotely close to it, and I just know I would have loved it when I was younger. The next book on my list here needs no introduction. Everyone knows this series. It's the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. I cannot believe I have not read this series, and I was trying to think back to why I didn't read them when they came out, because they were just all the rave, and even now people can't get enough of them. There's like new TV shows coming out, there's like new graphic novel versions of this book and different covers. There's just so many versions of this story, and I have no idea why I never got into it. And the only thing I could come up with was the fact that I think I was like on a little bit of a reading hiatus when these were coming out, and I think that's why I didn't get to them. But it is finally time that we change that, and I'm hoping to get to this next month. I have all 5 of the books in the Olympian box set. I don't think I'll get to every single one next month, but I definitely want to tackle this first book, and I might even vlog it, because I just want to see what the experience of reading this for the first time is going to be like. The next book I have here is called The Very Nearly Honorable League of Pirates. This is by Caroline Carlson, and anything to do with pirates, and I am such a sucker for it. Last year I did read a YA novel about pirates. I think it was called Daughter of the Pirate King, and that one was okay. It wasn't amazing, so it didn't really scratch that itch I had for a pirate novel, and so I'm hoping this one will do just that. The story is about Hillary here and her little pet gargoyle, and all she wants to do is be be a pirate, but in her society, they don't expect women to be pirates, and all she's supposed to be focusing on is like pretty dresses and the waltz and learning different dances, and Hillary wants nothing to do with that. She sounds like my kind of girl. She sounds very strong and powerful, and that she just wants to have as many opportunities as guys do. And so she answers this ad for a pirate crew that's looking for a new crew member, and so she says, you know what, I'm still going to go for it. And she answers the call and she goes on these big adventures with them, and she's looking for treasure. It just, everything you could want to do with a pirate tale, it sounds like this has, and I'm so excited to read it. The next book I have here is book number 2 in a series, and that series is the Nevermore series. This is book 2 called Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. The first one is about a girl named Morgan Crow who is born on Eventide, which is like the unluckiest day of the year, and I think it's like her 13th birthday. She's expected to die on that date, but what happens on that day is she's actually saved by a man named Jupiter North, and he kind of whisks her away to this magical land where she has to compete to enter this like wondrous society, which is like this super magical secretive society, and if she passes all of her trials, then she can enter that society, and he's going to sponsor her through it. That story was just so whimsical, and it swept me off to such a fun, faraway place. When I was reading it, I didn't even feel like I was in the real world. I was just so captivated by the world building that Jessica Townsend created, and I just loved every part of that story, and I've been meaning to read this for so long, and I don't know why I keep putting it off, but I think I'm finally ready to dive back into this world and see what happens in the next chapter of Morgan Crow's life. The next book I have here is called The Book of Stolen Dreams by David Farr. This story is about Robert and Rachel and their librarian father who go and steal this magical book, this book called The Book of Stolen Dreams. And the reason they want this book is because whoever has this book kind of has control over their world, and they want to keep it out of the hands of the bad guys. And so they go and steal this book, but unfortunately their father does get caught and he is in prison. So it's up to Rachel and Robert to keep this book safe and out of the hands of the bad guys, so they kind of go on the run in order to keep it safe. I am such a sucker for books about books, and this one just looks so magical and whimsical, and it's set partly in a library. I mean, what more could you want? I also think it's going to be action-packed and really fast-paced, and it says this is blurbed by Sophie Anderson, who is also one of my favorite middle grade authors, so I can only imagine that this book is probably going to be amazing. And then the last book I have here is a bittersweet one for me. It's The Vanderbeekers Ever After. This has been my favorite middle grade series. This is book number 7, and it is the final book in this series. I am not ready to say goodbye to this family. It is a family of tons of children, lots of pets, a lot of chaos, so many adventures. It is so heartwarming. It talks a lot about human connection and relationships and the power of community. It is set in New York, and it just, it makes me like feel all warm and fuzzy inside anytime I pick up one of these books. And I often pick it up when I'm feeling a little low or something is not going quite right in my life. These always have the magical ability to just lift up my spirits and make me feel better. If you have not yet checked out the Vanderbeeker series, then please get your hands on it as soon as you can, especially if you have a middle grader in your life, because they really are very heartwarming, and they show that, you know, all kids kind of go through their own versions of heartache and hardships, and that you can all get through them. So I am really excited to read it, but it is very bittersweet because I'm not ready to say bye to this family, but I do want to see how it ends off and where they leave this family. So I am excited to get to it, but I'll just be sad to be saying goodbye. So those are all of the books I have on my TBR list for next month. I am so excited. Even just doing this little video and talking about each of them makes me want to drop everything right now and just dive right into all of these different worlds. Middle grade books are just so sweet and impactful, and if you have not yet picked one up, then take this as your sign to dive into this genre and see what it does for you, especially if you're in a moment in your life where you're feeling a little low and you just need that little pick-me-up feel and you need that little warm hug in a book. Then I say give middle grade books a try and see what they do. Thanks for watching today, and I will catch you next time.